I've been using Monarch Money for 2 years, and today I want to give you a full, honest review of the platform. I want to share with you some of the things Monarch Money does very, very well, the things that I love about the app, but also a couple of things that could be better. So by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly how Monarch Money works and whether or not it's the right app for you in 2025. So, what exactly is Monarch Money? Well, Monarch Money is an all in one financial platform. It's touted as a budgeting app. And to be honest, it's probably the one that's closest to Mint.com, RIP, because Mint.com pretty much did everything. You could track your transactions, you can track your income and expenses. There was reporting, there was a really full featured budgeting app in there, but you could also set goals and you could track your investments and do all kinds of stuff. And Monarch really made that their mission to be able to replace all of those features and honestly improve them. So Monarch is a desktop app. I'm going to show you how Monarch works right here on my computer, but it's also a mobile app that you can use on your phone. Very, very well designed. That can follow you anywhere you go. So honestly, if you're looking for an all-in-one finance app, Monarch is really the command center of your finances. So let's just jump right into the actual app. So I'm going to share my screen here and let me get out of the way. This is what Monarch Money looks like once you have some of your accounts connected. So it's got this nice dashboard. I just want to highlight this dashboard because this is one of the best features of the app, in my opinion. Now, the dashboard just gives you a quick overview of your finances at a glance. The nice thing is I can see here's my budget, here's just my income, expenses, and the goals that I'm contributing to, and what's left over. It's just like a real quick, okay, where am I at right now? It also has a really cool net worth tracker that you can jump in and just take a quick look at, you know, all the way down to an all-time net worth tracker. But you quickly see, am I moving in the right direction? You know, over the last month, great, things have gone up. Awesome, really, really cool. As you go down here, you can see I've got recent transactions, so I can quickly look at what's going on. I can see my actual investments. For some reason, it's only showing me crypto um, for my Coinbase account, but you got your investments right there. I like this section where you can see your goals and how far you're going toward it and how much you've contributed toward that just this month alone, and then where your spending is at versus last month. But what's really cool about this dashboard, you can customize it. So as you can see, when I highlight over here, you see this little kind of dots pop up. I can actually change the order of what I'm seeing on the screen. So if I'm like, hey, I need to just see my recent transactions first thing. So I'm going to drag this right to the top. So right when I log into Monarch, I'll see my recent transactions. That's super helpful. You could also go to this customize button here and turn on and off certain features. So maybe you're like, I don't really care about spending trends. Maybe you don't really care about your transactions. You're like, hey, I don't really want to see those. And then I'm just going to change the order. I want to see my net worth, and then I want to see my investments, the right-hand side there. And then maybe I want to put my savings goals up over under the investments here, and then my budget. Boom. Now you're just going to see these four things. And when I close this out, boom, there's a simplified dashboard. So I think their dashboard is pretty powerful. What's cool about this dashboard too is the same thing pops up right on the mobile app. So if I pull up my mobile app here and I open up Monarch, you'll see, hey, there's the dashboard. Done, boom, there it is. And I can scroll down and like see the different things. Very, very similar, very nice experience right there on the mobile app. So that's the dashboard. Now, if you go to the next tab down, you can go into your accounts. When you first log into Monarch, to be honest, you're going to be in this accounts section and you're not going to see any. There's going to be nothing going on because you need to add an account. So you see this big orange button here, just hit the add account button. Now, Monarch uses Plaid to sync between financial institutions and the Monarch app. It is a secure platform that allows you to connect to your bank or credit card or investment platform or your real estate. You can even track your house through Zillow. It'll show you your house value. You can even connect to Coinbase, or you can even import from a CSV file to another tool. But what's really cool is you could just go in here and say, hey, I've got a Wells Fargo checking account. So you just click Wells Fargo, and it's going to open up the Plaid app. Now, Plaid is a secure third-party sort of connector between financial apps and financial platforms and banks. So I'm going to hit next here, and then it's going to pop up this secure window. Connect.secure.wellsfargo. You can tell it's a secure window here. Just use my username and password, connect it, boom. Now it's going to pull in all the transaction data. That data is read-only. They're not storing your passwords, none of that stuff. They just pull in the data itself so that you can visibly see. Monarch can't manipulate your data, it can't move your money, it can't do any of that stuff. None of these budgeting apps, to be honest, can do that. But Monarch uses Plaid, which is sort of the industry standard. So once your accounts are connected, you can see I connected a couple of my accounts. To be honest, I disconnected quite a few accounts. I don't want to share everything. But here's just what it could look like. So what happens is as you connect accounts, it'll split it into these different categories. So you've got cash, right, which is your bank accounts. So I've got my main checking account, and then I've got some different savings buckets here, different savings accounts through Capital One. I've got a couple of cash accounts. And then if you close this out, you can see I've also got a couple of credit cards. I love credit card points. So I definitely use credit cards on the daily, and we can track all of that. And then I've got a couple of the investment accounts that I own, along with my wife. And so I've got a couple of accounts here, and it'll just help me track my investments over time. And then I've connected my house, real estate value, any loans, and other assets. So like I've got a couple of vehicles here. We just have some older vehicles, not worth a ton, but they're there. Cool. So that gives you all the data from your accounts. What I like is they have this nice little summary here, and it's like, hey, assets, liabilities. It's helping you think in terms of net worth. Assets minus liabilities. That's my net worth. And as you can see, I'll get out of the way. That's the first thing they're going to show you when you log into the accounts tab. They're like, hey, don't just look at your account balances. What is your net worth doing? Overall, are you moving in the right direction? Now, again, if you have a lot of investments, that could swing up and down depending on the markets. And so that might not matter as much, but it's just nice to be able to see your net worth performance. What's really cool, though, is you can hit this little drop down and you can look at a breakdown of your net worth. You can actually track your cash over time, your investments over time, your real estate over time, all that stuff, right? So I can hit investments, how have things gone? Yep, they dipped early and then they went back up. Cool. I can also go look and go, hey, our credit cards gone. Yep, we had some expenses come up on the house, and now they're back down. Sweet. So you can go through and look at all of these different types of data points for how your finances are doing. Again, I will say, as a very, very, very beginner, it might feel a little much, but as you start connecting your accounts and getting a feel for the app, it's actually really powerful to be able to see all of this data. So I live in the accounts tab, dashboard accounts. I love it. I will say I don't live in this transactions tab, and we'll go through it. I'll show you how it works, but this isn't the place that I'm normally spending my time because within the app, right within the budgeting feature, you can see transactions, and even within the reporting, you can see transactions. And within the accounts tab, you can jump into the transactions. So I don't really go over to this to do anything other than if I'm doing a specific search. So again, I'll get out of the way and just show you the transactions tab. It's fine, nothing super special here, but you can do a whole lot of filtering, which is cool. So you can go through and literally just say, I only want to see specific accounts with specific category. Like you can ultra filter this thing so you can see only what you want to see. You can also set up rules. So there's a ton of rules. And what's cool is, let's say a transaction comes in and you categorize it. It'll pop up a little thing, say, hey, do you want to add a rule every time this transaction comes in? Then it recognizes as this. So like this rule, it automatically popped up and I had an AT&T bill. So it said, hey, do you want your AT&T bill to be automatically categorized as phone every single time? And I said, yeah, click. And it says, hey, do you want me to go to the last 19 transactions that say AT&T and T and just label them as phone? And I'm like, yeah, click. So then it just automatically categorizes this thing. And this is how you really dial in the app, is you can set these rules. I haven't gone through, let me look, you could manually code this stuff. I get it's way too techy for me. As long as it just pops up and says, hey, do you want me to create a rule on this type of transaction? Yep, Trader Joe's is always groceries. So let's put that in the groceries category. Boom. One click and it's done. But that's the rules tab here. But what I would say around transactions is the two things that I would do in here is one, search. Again, let's say, hey, I want to see every time we went to Trader Joe's. Boom, there is all that Trader Joe's. You can tell Trader Joe's has been big in 2025, but then that's just because they put a Trader Joe's in the next town up. Before we had to drive a long way, not so many Trader Joe's transactions. Look at that. The other thing you can do is, let's say let's look up for Amazon, right? Amazon's a big one. And I will say there is a cool feature around Amazon. I'll show you here in a minute. But let's say we had I don't know, this $173 transaction was actually multiple categories. It wasn't just shopping. It was shopping and maybe some groceries. Maybe we bought some staples, for our pantry. So you can go in here, and when you click on the transaction, it'll show you a bunch of details about it. You can add tags, you can add goals to it, you can do all kinds of stuff. But if you go to this split tab, our split transaction, you can see it's 173 and 43 cents, but maybe only 100 of that was shopping. And then the rest of it was groceries. So I'm just going to type in groceries here. Boom. And you can actually hit this little copy amount button, which is super handy. Paste it in, boom. Now this transaction is split into two categories. So it's not just shopping, but it was shopping and you can see it's got this little transaction with split symbol, but boom, now I've got it split between the categories and now my categories are accurate. My budget is more accurate. Again, you can really get into the details if you want to. But like I said, I don't spend a ton of time in here because I ain't got the time. So that's the transactions tab. There's a lot more to it, but that's the stuff I would use it for. Cash flow, another place I don't spend a lot of time, but when you first get connected, it pulls in some historical data. It's kind of nice to go, okay, let's see how things have been going, income and expenses over time. And then you can scroll down and go, here's my current income and let's see where my money has gone this month. But for me, that's what I use the budget for. So I'm not really living in this cash flow thing, but it's nice to have some historical data, give you sort of a zoom out view of how things are going. All right, the reporting tab. I think the reporting tab is handy. Again, they've got this cash flow report. You'll see there's some redundancy, right? You can see cash flow here, but you can also see cash flow in the reporting. I think for the reporting tab, the spending reports are the most helpful. They got this cool pie charts and it breaks down and color codes where your money has been going. So you could go into the budget tab and see that stuff, but I like to see it in a nice little clean chart. And then you could dive into the details. So it'll show you, a summary of where your money has been going. But let's say I want to dive in further and I go, okay, groceries, let's take a look, click, boom. Here's all the grocery transactions that just happened. You see, I was saying you can get to the transactions tab in more than one way. You can do it right inside the reporting. Or you can go, hey, what did we spend $300 on shopping? Where were we going? And then you're like, oh, yeah, it was Amazon.com. Whoops. I don't know if that happens to anybody else. Maybe it's just me. And so, yeah, boom, there's all of our shopping categories. And then maybe you can go in and go, maybe we need to recategorize some of that stuff. But I like this because it's a nice, clean, simple, color-coded breakdown for my simple brain to go, okay, there's where the money's been going. Is any of this stuff out of whack? And then we can make some decisions based on that. All right, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of the app, which is the budgeting section. I will say the budget is simple enough that it's not overwhelming, but it's powerful enough that you can kind of do what you want with it. So when you go to the budget, again, I'll get out of the way so we have a full idea here of what's going on. As usual, they've got income at the top. And you can see almost everything is collapsible, which is nice. So you got income at the top and you got all your expenses below that. Then you have goals, which are automatically flowed in from your goals section. And then you got totals at the bottom. So if I open these back up here, you'll see I've got different kinds of income options, and you can put those in there. And then if you scroll down, this is all your expenses. So they have sort of like main categories and subcategories, right? You kind of have like your category groups. So you've got gifts and donations, which has a couple of subcategories under those. So as you go down, it's a nice organized way to look at your budget. You can go, okay, anything that's under auto and transport, boom, got gas, auto maintenance, parking, and tolls there. Sweet. Housing, simple. Bills and utilities. Okay, here are the different expenses that we're going to have on a monthly basis. And we just put those numbers in there and you can quickly make adjustments. You can see your actual spending versus your budget. You can see exactly what's remaining. You can see quickly with red highlighted numbers where you've overspent. I mean, they really do make this part super, super simple. So again, I won't necessarily go through each of these, but it's really easy. And then on the right-hand side, they've got this nice little status box. How much you have left, and obviously if you budget too much, this will turn red, and a quick summary of your income expenses and then the goals that you have set up. Now, here's something I will say, personally, I think is a little bit annoying. I can't add a category right here. I can go in and edit the icon and the group that it's under. I can do a couple of edits within here, but I can't just hit plus category under bills and utilities. I can't go under food and dining or travel and lifestyle and hit, like, give me an add category button. I can't. The way you do that is this little cog up here, and you got to go down to the category section. Now you can edit your category groups and category sections, and you can drag and drop. You can do all of the changes. And I get why they did that, because there's a lot of functionality you can do, and you can create a whole new expense group. So if you have a vacation coming up, so boom, now you got Hawaii vacation, and now you've got this category group called Hawaii vacation, and now you can create a category, and you can call it Hawaii hotels, and you can even give it a nice little icon. We go, hey, hotel. So boom, there now you've got this category, and we can start customizing. We can change the order, right? You can add a new category within here, and you call it Hawaii travel expenses, and you put a little airplane, right? You can see what I'm saying. Like you can make quick adjustments, but I'm just slightly annoyed I have to go to a separate section to do that. But honestly, I can just click right back into budget. So it's not that hard, but it is one of those little like, I wish they would let me do some editing right here. That's a little more powerful. That's all. But as you can see down here, and then if you want to budget something that hasn't been budgeted yet, you got to put a number to it, and then it all of a sudden come out of the gray section into the budgeted section. Boom. So you can see that right there. All right, so that's the budget. Like I said, it's pretty straightforward. It's simple. I kind of wish they would have the edited section right within here. I get why they put it where they put it, but it's really straightforward. I would say on the mobile app, it's a lot simpler just to take a quick look at where things are going. The color coding, again, for my simple brain, makes it so easy to see where things are. So I do like the budget. It does exactly what it needs to do, tracking transactions, everything in there. It's all automatic. So I love that part of it. All right, the recurring section, to be honest, I will not really use this at all. I've checked it out. I think they use AI to try to find recurring transactions. The only thing it finds for me is a whole lot of Amazon. And I'm like, listen, this isn't a monthly bill. This is just my Amazon transactions. I don't need to like schedule this or anything like that. I don't need to track it as a recurring transaction. So their AI, to be honest, isn't the best in my opinion in finding recurring transactions. Now, if I get out of the way here, you'll see you can hit manage recurring, and you can manage your synced accounts, and you can do what's called bill syncing through a partner. I can't remember the name of the app that will track and your bills, but it's just something I haven't set up yet. But I don't really care. I guess the reason I don't care about these recurring transactions in it really relates to one of the downsides about Monarch is they don't have a calendar. False. All right, Jake here from the future to correct my past self. They do have a calendar view, and I'll get out of the way to show you how I got there. When you're on the recurring tab, you've got your list, but you can just hit this nice handy dandy calendar button. What do you know? And it does pull up your recurring transactions that will be coming out on a calendar, which is actually super helpful. Again, for me, some of this AI stuff, bringing in all this Amazon stuff is not helpful, but I can see that my internet bill is going to come out on the 3rd. I can see that I've got some transfers on the 8th to my savings buckets accounts. I've got my energy bill goes out on the 15th, right? So this actually is helpful. So if you sync your bills and you want to see when do those land, basically like for me, it's like, when am I going to get paid? And then when does that money leave for those recurring transactions? This can be super helpful. Now, that does lead me to my favorite feature of the app, to be honest, and it's their goals. Their goals are super simple, super powerful, and they help me have financial peace. I can't really think of a better way to say it. So, check this out. In the goals section, and I'll get out of the way so we can see all the buttons here. You can see I have a couple of goals set up, and I've got some archived ones that I've already finished. So I'm just going to walk you through how to add a goal and show you why this is so powerful. So first things first, they give you some suggested goals, right? So an emergency fund, obviously the best goal you can have if you don't have one in place. A down payment for a home, or saving for a new car, saving for a vacation, just general savings, retirement accounts, education, a wedding, right? If you have an upcoming wedding, all of that stuff super valid. They also have debt payoff goals. Hey, I want to pay down my credit cards, my student loans, auto loans, mortgage, all that stuff. So I'm going to do a general savings goal just to kind of give you an idea of how it works. And you can set, right, a bunch of them. So they want you to be able to do this in bulk, but let's just do one general savings goal. So you can see I already have goals here. Here's what's kind of cool. They say, okay, when you have money, what's the most important goal on your list? This is something I do with my financial coaching students as well. I'm like, what's the most important thing? Let's make sure your money first goes to that. Then leftover money can go to the next one and the next one. The same functionality is really built right in here to the Monarch app, which I think is pretty awesome. So if we look here, we've got vacation because I have some big travel plans coming up. That's our number one goal. Then Christmas. I've got a life insurance thing I pay once a year. Same with auto insurance is every 6 months. And then just the birthday general savings fund. So we'll just call this one savings. So when I hit next, it's going to say, how much do you want to save? So this is really important when you're setting a savings goal. You want to know, what is my end goal here? So you can see I'm going to scroll down here. I've got my different savings goals, but vacation was $2,000. Christmas was $2,000. Life insurance, the bill is about $500 a year. Auto insurance, I pay about $1,200 every 6 months. Ouch, Florida. So let's just set a $600 savings goal, right? And I'm going to hit next. Then it forces you to attach that savings goal to an actual account. I think that this part is very important because if you set a savings goal, but then you don't actually set that money aside anywhere, you're not really tracking toward that goal. Your money's just still sitting there in your checking account, could easily be spent somewhere else. That's why I'm a huge fan of opening separate savings accounts for different goals. So I use Capital One 360, and I've got several savings goal accounts. You can see, this little Capital One symbol. I'm linked to a bunch of those. So these ones are all, these goals down here are all linked. I don't know if I have an available account, so I'm gonna hit add account. Um, and it's gonna see like these ones are already checked. These boxes are already checked. So let's call this, let's do this M1 Finance cash account. Okay, always use the entire account balance. Yes. So that account is now assigned. So if I go down and hit done and I hit next, you can see I have $56 saved toward this $600 goal. And then how much do you want to allocate? So here's the way that I see it is you want to figure out how much can you put toward this goal per month. I'm going to put $100 a month. I'll hit next. So now it's going to sort of review it and go, okay, you want to get to $600. Obviously, that's going to take about 6 months at $100 a month. And so what it's going to do is it's going to tell you, basically, you're about 9% of the way there. You got $500, $543 left to save, and you're going to budget about $100 a month. What's really cool is now that this goal is set, I'm going to go back over here to the budget. I'm going to scroll to the very bottom here under contributions. Boom. You can see I've got this new savings goal and it automatically budgeted $100 for me. It goes, let's just not make pie in the sky goals. Let me add it right to your budget. And it's going to deduct money from your paycheck. Like this is actually going to be something you have to allocate for. So I am a huge fan of the savings goal feature. And you can see I save, if I go, let's just go into my vacation goal, for example. I save about $200 a month. I did have a trip back in March and I spent about $1,050. Boom. I just took it right from my savings account. And now I'm rebuilding that for another trip that's coming up, trying to get to $2,000. We're about 34% of the way there. Same thing with Christmas. I'm a huge fan of automating your savings. So on Christmas, I have a transaction every, 8th to 10th of the month, somewhere in there. This is an automatic transaction. It transfers $200 into my Christmas savings account. I didn't even check this in months, but apparently I have $1,800 ready for Christmas and it's only September. How cool is that? Like using this goals feature, linking it with a external high yield savings account and then just set them an automatic transaction and the money will just be there when you need it. So I don't even have to think about it. October, November rolls around. Hey, let's start doing some Christmas shopping. We got several $1,000s already set aside. So probably my favorite feature within the app. So that's the goals feature. Let's jump over to investments. The investment tracker, here's all I have to say about it. I'm glad it tracks my investments. I'm glad it adds it to my net worth and I can see a nice net worth statement, whether it's going up, down, whatever's going on. I like to just see a quick snapshot. This is really bare bones and really basic. It doesn't give me any more than I need. When I need more, I use another app. It's called Empower, and I'll link it here. There's going to be, I have a full review on the Empower app. It is way more powerful than Monarch does for investment tracking. And I'll put a link to that video as well below. But this is good enough. It says, hey, how have you been doing? Let's compare you to, I don't know, the S&P 500 or the, US stock market or just the bond market. How I've been going. I've been way outperforming bonds. Fantastic. As you can see, it's almost exactly the same as the S&P 500 because that's basically what I'm invested in the US stock market. So, yeah, it's a nice quick overview. if you I have pretty I'm just tracking, just a couple of these accounts here, and they're all pretty much in the same ETF. So you're not going to see much for asset allocation. Again, very basic. Here's a couple of my holdings, and that's it. So I think it's fine. I don't think it's exceptional. And again, if you really want some detailed breakdowns, retirement analysis, fee analysis, all that stuff, you're going to get that in the Empower app, which is a free app. So you can go check that out for investment tracking. All right, and the last section here is advice. This is something I hadn't explored actually before this week. I didn't realize they even had this advice tab here, but apparently I've been already completing some of this stuff, which is really cool. So I completed setting up a budget and saving an emergency fund. Yay me. Awesome. Didn't know. Um, Mint.com had a version of this, but they always said, hey, you should review your homeowner's insurance. And then they would refer you to some referral partner. Monarch doesn't do that. They're not selling your data. There's no ads, nothing, right? This is a premium app. You're paying for it. They're not going to try to refer you to people, get, affiliate commissions, none of that stuff, which is really, really cool. I like that. So it's actually just a checklist, which is actually kind of handy. So they're like, hey, whether you own a home or you rent, you probably want to make sure you have some type of insurance coverage to cover, say there's a fire or a theft or whatever. Like, let's make sure your belongings are covered. And they just basically give you a task, a checklist task. Hey, have you determined how much liability coverage you needed? No. Okay, we'll go do that and then check the box. Did you pick the replacement costs or cash value coverage? Okay, sure, I did. And then determine if you need personal articles coverage, like, hey, I've got a bunch of expensive stuff here. Let me make sure that's added to my policy. Right. It's a nice, like, if you've never understood how homeowners insurance worked or how car insurance works or the things you need to think about, it's a nice little quick, like, hey, make sure you ask these questions of your agent, right? At least you've got that. So I think it's handy. You can check the boxes and get a little pat on the back. Hey, you completed this stuff. I don't think it's necessarily life-changing advice, but it's nice to have it all in one place. So a nice little additional feature. So that is the Monarch Money app. I hope as I was going through this view, you could feel there are some of the things that I love about this app, especially the dashboard, the net worth tracking, the goals feature, and the reporting. Spot on. Love that stuff. I will say there's some things that are like I'm not so hot on, right? The recurring tab to me is to be honest, kind of useless. I just wanted to show you what I liked about the app, why I use it, and why it's worth paying for, in my opinion, compared to some of the other options that are out there. So, if you want to give it a shot, they do give you a 7-day free trial. And because I'm a partner with them, I will get a small commission if you sign up using my link below, but they gave you a special offer using that specific link. So if you use the code Monarch VIP, again, that'll be built into the link below, but the code Monarch VIP will give you 50% off Monarch for the first year. So Monarch is normally $14.99 a month, which is to me, it's kind of a premium price for budgeting apps. It's really an all-in-one finance app. So it's pretty much at the top of the pile as far as monthly cost. But if you sign up for an annual subscription, it's only $99 a month, which is like $833 a month. That's very reasonable. That's lower than some of their competitors. But if you use the link below, you're only paying $50 for that first year. So to me, that's kind of like they're trying to make it a no-brainer price to get in, try the thing for 7 days, and then you can get it for $50 for that first year. And then after that, it's that $99, which is about $8.33 a month. So if you're considering it, you can just use the link below and have access to that code Monarch VIP to get yourself a discount if you want to sign up and check it out. So I hope that was helpful in helping you determine whether Monarch is right for you. And if you're going to sign up, you might as well use the link below and get 50% off your first year using code Monarch VIP. Now, Monarch is only one budgeting app, but I've been reviewing budgeting apps for over a decade, and I found the 6 best budgeting apps that are available today, and you could check them out in a full review right here.